All right, so tonight we have Scott McNall from SDL here to tell us about their latest offering in DITA authoring and publishing, I believe. So let's get started. And if anybody has any questions, just use the chat window, and I'll interrupt Scott, and then if you have a lengthy question, I'll just unmute you, and you're free to speak. So welcome to the group, Scott, and take it away.
Right, thank you, Scott, and thank you, everybody. I am Scott McNall. I'm a senior solution consultant with STL. I work in our content management technologies division, which means I work on both Tridian, our web content management solution, as well as LiveContent, our data structured content solution. I want to lay a little bit of groundwork just on how we'll be talking about the delivery and the collaboration of content. So we're not going to be focused too much really on the authoring side and the component content management system, although LiveContent is a suite that contains the component content management system that delivers content either both internally for collaboration and review and externally for web content consumption. And it's kind of an HTML format, but it's a dynamic HTML format. And so I'll show you what that means, and we'll kind of go through a practical example of some content. But I wanted to start with the way we're thinking about content is we're trying to expand this and to get and have people think about the fact that it really has always been about the customer experience. In SDL's world, we think of this as global customer experience, and it's the customer journey through the process. And it used to be that tech docs really just was tech docs. It's you put it out with the product and people refer to it, and either paper and it goes in the box with the product, or it might be a PDF that you post out on the website for support. And what we're finding is that customers are engaging a little bit differently now with content. And in addition to the marketing content that might be on a web page for a customer, there's also the support content that needs to be, I think, focused on a little bit more than it has been as part of this experience. Customers engaged, they want to have content they can learn from, they can use it to troubleshoot and solve problems. And then what does this mean when they have a decent customer experience or a bad customer experience based on that content? So the endorsement side of it when they're using that content. And what we found, one of our customers has told us that 80% of their customers look at their technical documentation for the products before they decide to buy. So it's important that this content is quality content, and it must be consistent. When you present that content out there, whether it's knowledge-based or technical publications, it has to be consistent and provide the kind of content that the users are looking for. So good content makes an impression. In this particular question, does quality technical product content improve your impression of the product or brand? Almost 79% say that it does. Does good content lead to your promoting this brand or advocating for this brand? And again, very large percentage. So when they're looking at content, and this is specific to technical product content, people are using this prior to buying. They want to know what, things about what's involved with the product and supporting it or installing it or getting started or just comparing data sheets for different products. And then what happens when they can't find content that they're looking for, whether that's pre-sale and user guide information or a data sheet, and then post-sale troubleshooting. what happens if they can't find good content, have a bad experience? It takes 5 positive reviews or bad socialization of a good experience to outweigh just one bad experience. And bad news travels fast. I'm sure you've all seen this. And I have posted bad reviews on Yelp if I've had a really bad experience. The number of people that will be informed by a bad experience, 16. I mean, that's a lot. And if it expands from there and a bad reputation, it can really, really hurt just based on that one bad experience when we're talking about the customer journey. The other part of it is, I think consumers are wanting to be more self-supportive. I myself am. I like to do things on the web, and I'll research a lot, and I'll do a search. I must say that I am extremely pleased and impressed with VMware and how their content is getting out there right now. Because I've had some things I've been kind of playing around with my Mac and using Fusion, and I've had questions. And every time I've done a search, their knowledge-based articles have come up. And that makes me feel more confident that I'm getting good information from them. And it helps me solve my problem faster. So what does it mean to have good content? Content has to be compelling, it has to be useful, and from an authoring perspective, it has to be easy to create. And when you deliver it sharing it on social networks. It has to be for a good experience. Everybody's demanding personalized content. And how do you deliver that? How do you provide that to them? Videos. I see that the VMware knowledge-based articles, almost every one I found had a video on it. But it also had the steps that I was looking for to solve my problem. You know, whether I had to change settings or do something in Fusion. So there's different ways to present this information, and they are providing both videos and the text with it. And then how do you determine whether or not it's compelling or not? And that's being able to measure the engagement with that customer. So when people share, it's found that 75% of social shoppers click on links from their friend's Facebook page. And then 53% of those make a purchase. So if this is a good experience, this is great news. So remember that it's also, if it's a bad experience and they're sharing, it can be 16 people or more. It's their entire network that's hearing about it. And what does personalized content mean? Well, I was working on my Mac with Fusion. I only want to see content that relates to me using my Mac. And I may be more, I don't know if I'm an advanced user of Fusion, maybe I'm in the middle, or a beginning user. I appreciate the fact that when I get content, whether that's from VMware and I'm looking at Mac versus PC, or advanced user versus beginning user, or if I'm on just content coming from Delta Airlines, I like when they recognize my situation and they personalize the content for me. It makes me feel like I have some value. And now I think everybody's really expecting this more. They want to know that you know about them. And their experience with whatever content you're delivering will be much more positive. This, again, means multimedia integration. It could be video. It could be HTML content that they can easily search. It may still be PDF. I think a lot of people still expect PDF. And maybe it's a mixture of everything. But the point is delivering this content to a device in a format that the end user wants to use. So it's their language, whatever platform they're going to use. It's personalized for them and the content on the device that they're using at that time. That means omni-channel delivery. It has to be a single source of content, delivering that out to multiple channels. Intelligent search. You can index PDFs, but once you search on it and you find it, you're going to find the PDF, and you have to download it. And if you're on your iPhone and it's 3G and not 4G, and it's a little bit slower, or it's I have very few I see anymore, but the Edge network, I think it is. You know, that can be really slow trying to open that up, and so the experience is not as good if it's slow, if it's a PDF that I have to download. Then I have to go into the PDF and find it. Why can't I just search, get to the exact, in the digital world, it's the exact topic that I'm looking for. So it's that search and findability, and then again, just like being compelling in measuring it, how do I measure whether or not something is useful? And it needs to be in their language. I was talking with a group at a customer, and somebody was really promoting the fact that their tech, I think they were, if I remember correctly, technical software or software-based technical space, and saying that, oh yeah, you know, everybody understands English. We deliver, it's fine for us to put our publications out in English. Well, that may be true. Everybody may know English, and they may understand it a little bit. However, they might appreciate the fact that you publish it in their language, because it's much more understandable and valuable to them. And again, it's that personalized content, not only in what the content you're delivering, but also in the fact that you're putting out in their language. And then again, the intelligent search. So getting directly to the content that you're looking for. So here we started off with the fact that there's a PDF, and you might be able to search on My Camera Won't Work. Then you go to HTML, and you can search HTML content, but then if you expand upon that and actually go to XML and DITA, specifically in semantic tagging, and you're searching DITA XML, it's powerful. You can get right to what you need. And then you can also then start maybe presenting even a predictive personalized content to that based on to that consumer based on what they're looking for and the combinations of where they're clicking and what they're searching for, so that you are presenting them with information they may not know they need to know yet, but it's very helpful. It will be very helpful for them. And then the ability to create content. So we're seeing a lot more casual contributors. This may be SMEs. This may be just reviewers that edit content or comment on content after when they're reviewing it. Or it could be SMEs actually contributing content, writing content, but not using, maybe they aren't doing this all the time, so they aren't using one of the XML editors like Xml, Oxygen, FriendMaker, or Arbortext. They need an environment that they can provide content that can be reviewed, put through the content lifecycle, and then eventually released. And then in that process, you also have to be able to provide feedback. That could be internal users that are reviewing. It can be external users based on what kind of external users and consumers of the content you want to provide the ability to provide feedback. When you do a collaboration and review that's linear, it's decentralized, and it's very linear. You might pass around a PDF, and it can get a little bit messy. It works, so get the feedback, but then somebody might have to go back in and bring all that stuff together, and sometimes each reviewer can't see what other reviewers are commenting on. So when you have a kind of collaboration and review platform where everybody can see comments and they can make comments, and potentially they may be able to edit, get in on their permission, it makes for a very easy, user-friendly, and efficient collaboration and review process. So what I'm going to show you, in the LiveContent suite, we have Architect, which is how you bring, it's basically, if you want to think of it, data map editing and assigning the workflow, assigning topics and maps and all the objects that go into a publication and deliverable and publishing from there. We're not going to really cover that. If you have questions about it, I certainly can show that part of it. We're going to concentrate a little bit more on the delivery channel. So that's LiveContent Reach, And create is the ability to edit and add content through an XML online editor. The name of it is called Create. It used to be called Xopus. We've now brought it into the suite. But it's where casual contributors or SME reviewers can edit content. So I'll show you how that works. And basically, in LiveContent, it is a DITA-based component content management system. It does manage translation very easily. It's component. It's very powerful with putting in DITA conrefs and variables, which are similar to key refs. We also do support key refs because they are part of the DITA spec. And then the ability to publish multi-channel delivery to different PDF or perhaps HTML, or to Reach, which is our dynamic HTML. So what I want to show is this delivery of content. I'm going to start with the external reach part of it. I'm going to show you how dynamic HTML can be delivered from for a user guide or a data sheet. And so what we're going to start off with is an anonymous user. Matrix is our pretend product website. We provide printers. We have content for printers, so we have our website. This is not LiveContent. This is something that can be managed by a web content management system like Tridian or another web content management or system, or just a web page. And when I go to a specific printer and I want to look at product documentation, you can see that there's many ways to present this. I can present it in the language also that the user is accustomed to. If their page is French, I could show this in French and show the French user guide. I'm going to show you the English user guide for this particular printer. And a few things I want to point out. First of all, everything from this table of contents and share down, this is live content. This is dynamic HTML being rendered on the fly when I go to view this user guide. Everything else on this page is just part of my regular web page. It's a header, it's a banner, it's just my web page. That's not part of live content. Live content is the delivery of this dynamic HTML. And what I mean by dynamic is a couple of things. First, you hear how this Your Photo Printer, there's a section in this user guide for the photo printer. And also in the introduction, there's a section on photo printing. A little image here, and I can talk about easily printing photos. But watch what happens when I change to the 810 printer. In the introduction topic, I no longer get the photo printing section, and there's no photo printing chapter of the user guide. So this was not a second HTML static presentation. This was dynamically going to the live content reach database, filtering based on conditions that are set in this content to say that the 810 printer doesn't have photo printing, so don't show photo printing content. So it's a combination of conditional content that was published out to live content reach database and then on-the-fly filtering. That's what we mean by dynamic HTML. So very, very helpful, especially if I have a few hundred variations of my product. I can print one master user guide to Reach, and I can show it on a web page and dynamically filter it, or potentially even pass in filters. So what's that mean? When I'm in the introduction topic, and I'm Connie, and I log in, I can, put that in wrong. When I log in, I can personalize Connie's content. So now Connie gets a little kitten picture because she is a different market segment. So I show a different picture. I also show the troubleshooting section. Dynamically, when Connie logged in, this content changed. Additionally, as a known user, I allow Connie to comment on the content from an external website. So that's the power of being able to deliver this content, not in a PDF, but in a dynamic HTML environment, and then presenting that on our support website. And then I can also do searches. Again, that example of normally when I search something, I might get a PDF, then I have to go into the PDF and find what I'm looking for. Here, when I look for error code, I get to the printer error codes topic. And oh, by the way, we have, because SDL has very large translation services and technology, we have the ability to do something like in user comments, which I don't think is plugged into it right now, but we have SDL Global, which is on a translation tool that I could take something like this French comment, hit the SDL Global, and translate it to my language. Machine translation, if the quality is good and it's good enough for representing commenting, user commenting. And then I can see, again, different comments. They're exposed to Connie because she's a known user, and I can see all the topics and such that I have in my user guide. So that's delivery to an external website of a user guide that I created using DITA, using LiveContent Architect to put everything together into a publication in a DITA map with conditions. There's some variables in here. Matrix AIO is a variable. And I publish it out to the web for consumption. Because these are topics, I can also do analytics on it to figure out what content is being consumed. And I'll show you that at the very end. Now let's do a little bit of a switch. Let's back up one step and talk about review and collaboration. I've submitted this content in, by the way, this particular user guide that I've published here is user guide version 2. We are now working on user guide version 3. And so there is the user guide for AIO printers version 3. This is me logged into an internal review site. It's a dashboard of publications that I need to review. You can set expiration on it, by the way, so that after a certain date, there's no longer additional review that's allowed. And when I go in, I can see things like summary. I see that I have a topic that is to be reviewed by me. I see that Kelly has a topic to be reviewed. I see some draft topics. I can get a pretty decent summary of things that are happening in here, but I'm an SME reviewer, and I've been asked to review this printer error codes topic. Again, I have navigation, so I can go to the topics that are part of this user guide version 2, or sorry, version 3. But I need to review this particular error code or printer error code topic. And you can see I've got error code 2, 2, 3, 12, so on. So I'm kind of looking through this topic. There's a little caret here that tells me it's a topic that needs to be reviewed. It's just a visual cue. I can see over here that Howard made a comment that he's getting error code 405. This could be an internal comment. It could be a comment that's exposed from an external user as well. And wants to know how to fix this. Well, in me reviewing this, I can see they forgot to add error code 405 to this table. So I'm going to go ahead and accept Howard's comment, and I'm going to edit. Remember, I'm an SME reviewer. I'm not using Xml or Oxygen to edit this topic. I only do, review every month or so. I'm reviewing some content, and I see that we need to add error code 405. Plus, as an SME reviewer, they've given me the permission to edit this directly. So I'm going to add in a row below for error code 405. And that's my description. This is a very simple WYSIWYG online editor that I can use that's pretty much kind of hiding the DITA for me. I don't, as an SME, I don't really need to know DITA. I can actually see the DITA. Based on where my cursor is, I can see that I have a paragraph, I have a cell, a column, a row, table body, and you can see that when I click on those, it outlines each of those elements. There is no tags on view here because we are intentionally trying to simplify the DITA so that an SME reviewer or somebody who doesn't, I don't want to have to train 300 engineers what DITA is and what elements are. But they can add them. If they needed to add a code block, they could. And I can use DITA's constrain, so I can constrain elements, or even in LiveContent create, which is this interface, I could restrict what they can put in. So I can show you from here. If I go here and I show offering, I could take out abbreviated form, cross-reference, graph comment, index. I could take all those out if I don't want to expose it to these users. Very simple configuration that can be done in the setup of create. So it's an easy to use WYSIWYG editor, and it is keeping track of the changes. So I can see what was changed. If somebody else maybe made a change and I was editing, I could go in there and look at that. And then when I'm done, I finish editing. It checks it back into the repository so that it's, because it's not been released yet. And it can go through its workflow, whatever that workflow happens to be, if it's you know, to the next reviewer, or if it's maybe editorial and they want to verify that I spelled everything correctly using the right terms, because I'm just an SME. I'm not really a writer. And then I can say, I've completed this, corrected. Thank you for the input. And there's my comment. Now, I'm going to do something else, a little quick switch over to maybe a different reviewer, just to show you how this whole collaboration process goes on. I could be in here. Actually, I'm going to go back to the printer error codes. And I'm going to make a comment on this and ask, are we still using LCD, or is this supposed to be monitor? So it could be, Kelly also has permissions to edit, but you could remove that permission and he could still have the ability to add comments. You can comment on the topic. You can comment on the particular content. I mean, within, highlight something and show it. And it can, when you highlight specific content and comment on it, this little I-beam, when you click on it, shows what text was highlighted when that was commented on. And now if I go back, and I refresh, should refresh here. Here it is. Are we still getting LCD, using the LCD, or is this supposed to be monitor? And that comment is available to the writing team in Publication Manager. This is Architect, where everything is kind of put together and assembled. So this would be the writing team, a Publication Manager, the Publication Captain, whoever is responsible for the ultimate delivery of this user guide. And when I take a look at that particular, this one, topic, I can see comments back here as well. And I can subscribe. I could be alerted by email. There's lots of ways you can do the notifications. But it's a round trip. Everybody can see these comments. So not only the reviewers, but other reviewers, and also back into the writing team to the person who might be responsible for this particular topic or for putting this particular publication together. So that's how, when we deliver content, this is the kind of the latest offering of bringing live content together. It is a round trip. It is collaboration. It is using Live Content Architect to publish out to Live Content Reach, to publish the PDF from a single source. So it's the component content management system delivering this content out and delivering it to both potentially external users and internal users for collaboration. And then providing that environment for reviewers that have the permission to edit. If they don't have permission to edit something, the edit button is gray.
Scott?
Yeah.
June has a question. She's got no mic, so she says, can you go over again what part the create product does?
Yep. So the reach part is the publishing out to this I'm going to call it the HTML channel of live content reach, dynamic HTML. Create is tied into the internal review and collaboration process, which is, Create really is the XML editor online. So Create is if I have permissions to edit content from Reach internal collaboration, I get the XML editor. So this is an XML editor, just WYSIWYG, again, trying to hide the DITA elements from the user. So many things I can do in here, like tables. You know, it is using the DITA DTDs, so I can't insert something that is not appropriate for that location. And I can constrain and remove things that I may not want some of the users that are going to be using this environment to edit content to be able to do. And some customers are providing, they're using this environment for the review process. They're also using it for those contributors, like an SME or an engineer, that may actually write content where they do a subtopic. And so when that particular user goes into a publication, they see that they need to review something, and they click on the topic to see it, this would be empty. And it may have a placeholder that says, please enter content here or something, you know, some placeholder in an empty topic, but they edit it and they're responsible for adding content. So there's many ways that you could use this environment. It is not really intended to be a replacement for Xmetal or Oxygen. It's not as advanced as that, and it's really a WYSIWYG editor for SMEs, for the casual contributor. However, you can use it. You can put in content reuse. So you can use conrest, and it will go out to the repository, and they can insert content reuse. I think at that point you're getting into some places where maybe that's a more advanced type of contributor, because you have to kind of explain to them what a content reuse is, a conrest, basically.
Is that?
Any other questions about that?
I had a question. Is this web interface mobile friendly at all? Like, can you use it on a tablet or a phone?
I probably wouldn't use it on the phone. I think you're going to get too small of a screen,
Mm-hmm.
even on the larger phones. But yeah, you know, now that I say that about the tablet, so you can render the external content out to a tablet into a phone because you can. It's just a different interface. Editing, I don't believe this is that it works right now on Safari.
Mm-hmm.
So that may limit the iPad a little bit.
Okay, yeah, no, I just was curious. I'm not aware of any that are very usable on a mobile device, and it would just be it'd be great to see when somebody does that.
Yeah. You know, I am using my Mac, but I'm using Firefox and Chrome on my Mac. I think I would try to use Safari, and I don't believe it's been certified for Safari.
Yeah. Okay. June says thanks. So create and reach work together. One wouldn't buy one without the other.
So you could do reach I'm going to call one reach internal and one reach external just for ease of referring to them. You can use reach external on its own because this is just a delivery platform out to your external users. So that could be purchased on its own for external use. You could use this reach internal for review, and you wouldn't have any editing. You could have just commenting, which may still be valuable because I think it's a little bit easier to potentially route this type of, you know, notification and have them go through this interface to comment on it. So you could get this by itself and without create. And create is available as an SDL product. We sell it as outside of this entire system as Xopus still. So you could use that. You could use Xopus just as an XML editor outside of the LiveContent framework. So there's really a few different modules, and they all kind of work. They can work individually. They work together.
All right. There's another question. If a customer has SDL 2011 R2, how would the creation functionality differ from SDL 2013 SP1?
So what you're seeing here, actually there is, so SDL LiveContent 2013 brought all of this together. So I think that's what you probably see as a difference. What we basically changed the branding. It's instead of having TriSoft, Xopus, and LiveContent separate. Now it's all LiveContent. They still are different modules, but they're more integrated together, especially with single sign-on. So when I'm going between these environments, it automatically let me, you know, when I went into edit, it automatically I did a single sign-on into create. So the main difference is that in LiveContent 2013, that's where you saw them all brought together. Service Pack 1, that's what I'm using right now. There really wasn't much of a difference between the two. The big difference in Service Pack 1, aside from typical maintenance and bug fixes, is that the Oxygen bridge was added to, an Xml 7 bridge was added to Service Pack 1 of 2013.
And she says then no workflow and comment capability?
So there's really, yeah, it wasn't really well integrated together in that. It still is there, but it wasn't as well integrated in the 2011 R2. It was called LiveContent, and it does have commenting and the ability to get some of that back in. I think it's just better integrated here, especially with the interface. And you're correct, Xopus did not have. Xopus was not There is no edit button from here. You had to go to the repository to the web client to launch Xopus. So this is a much friendlier way for an SME to get into Xopus, which is now called Create, to edit content. And based on permissions that I have, I may be able to manage comments. This is just a way of looking at comments. I can search through here. I can see how many replies to comments, what the status. So if I'm using the status comments, I can, as I'm going through this process, I can manage them. And you can see that I can delete comments. I wouldn't give that permission to everybody. That would be an admin user, but there is the ability to delete comments. More applicable, I think, is really the analytics part of it. And what this does is you can see some of the segments that we report on. So this is
Scott, can I just ask? There's one more question back a little bit. When an SME checks his/her comment or stub back into the database in Reach, can he access other TechPub's topics?
Yeah, because they're going through this view. So when I'm here and I go to this particular one and I check back in, I can get to any of these others, and anything that I have permissions to edit, I would see the edit button. I can comment on others. I can also go back to the publications list. So the file, you'll see it's common in the SDL products now. I can go to the troubleshooting guide. I can see the installing cartridges and so on. So I can navigate to others. It is based on publications. We publish content through publications. If you're familiar with SDL LiveContent Architect, we publish as publications, which essentially is the master DITA map. It's just one level. We do a little bit more. But so I can make a review publication too. It could be a dummy publication just to put out only specifically things that would be reviewed. It's a possibility to do that as well. But yeah, you can navigate. You cannot, you are going to get to just the content that is, and I'm not sure if the search engine is turned on. Let's see if it's going to. Not right now. You could potentially search the repository. It doesn't, but this interface is not a browse of the repository. I can get to other things. So again, the idea is that it's a review tool for SMEs, not an Xml interface, not to compete with an Xml interface where I can browse the repository to get to other topics and version them and so on.
And can you set permissions on individual topics for various people, or only through the publication?
It's based on role, and then basically you could do that through the review process based on who is assigned to review specific content. You could limit it to that because you can see how how you saw here. I am the to be reviewed by me. I could, say I can't potentially edit anything else besides that one. Depends on how much I want to provide them. I think the other nice thing about this interface, the way this is presented, is many people they like the idea of a PDF for a reviewer because they'd like to see everything in context. They'd like to see how things flow together. And as we all know, DITA topics are supposed to be able to stand on their own and have their own context, and you can review them on their own. But there's that comfort level. I want to see how everything else fits together. So I want to go from here to the quick start and then what's in the box, and I can go to the next topics or related topics and so on. I can still see other content here, but I am presenting it in a manner that's where I don't have to route a PDF around that people are going to make notations or annotate on, and then somebody else has to go in and make changes to that content. I can provide direct access to make content changes here to somebody, or if I don't want to do that, at least they have the ability to comment. And and an interface that's easy to access, easy to navigate. And I think it's it's still providing that a little bit of that in-context view, because we all know that converting people to review topics is a paradigm shift, a different way of looking at it.
And can deadline dates be imposed for a review with notification when the deadline date is reached?
Yes, when you publish to LiveContent Reach, you can set a review deadline, and after that date, no more changes would be allowed through the interface. And then you can expand upon that by doing something like a notification if the date's approaching within 2 days. We typically handle a lot of workflow like that through our plugin, because there's many different types of requirements, and it's easier for us putting it out of the box in the workflow to just do a plugin, and you determine what you want to do, and that plugin will then notify somebody that, hey, there's 2 days left. And it could also be done that somebody's managing the publication, that in their view they can sort and see what is still in draft and to be reviewed status. I'll show you what that looks like here. So from this view, if I'm responsible for this user guide, I can sort by status and see that I have a lot of stuff still in draft. So if this is due next week, I need to get in touch with the author of each of these and find out what the heck is going on. So it's multiple ways of being able to manage the process, and then also potentially doing automatic notification.
And are parallel workflows supported, where you can send it out to multiple people for review?
We generally would handle that workflow notification outside of the workflow that's in LiveContent. It is linear in LiveContent, but it can be through the plugin. You can manage it that way. The interface does allow them. Now, again, just like a regular content in LiveContent Architect or from the repository, you can only one person can check out content at a time. Same thing here. However, when that's checked back in and somebody else wants, when they get back to this point, they finish their editing, somebody else can see what they did, and they can go in and edit if they have that permission. They can see the track changes if they wanted to, just like I showed previously. And they can also see the comments. So it's a little more real-time collaboration. But again, we are going to impose that multiple people can't have it checked out at the same time. Multiple people can comment at the same time. It is just a comment feed on that topic, so I can have that collaboration near real time. It's within a few seconds, those comments are being populated in all different views.
All right, thanks. Oh, wait, one more.
Okay.
Can a comment be inserted in a specific place in a topic, or are comments general to a topic?
So the comment box at the top here is to the topic itself. If it is on content, I can highlight the content and then maybe, this is the incorrect caution. So what happens is when I click on this, the I-beam, I can see what text that was associated with when I made the comment.
Nice.
Yeah, and the I-beam only shows up when it's specific text,
right?
Reference text.
And did you say that multiple people can check out the same topic at the same time?
No, that they cannot check it out at the same time in any, whether it's in Create through the web or through Xml or anything like that. They cannot, but they can comment at the same time.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So lastly, part of this whole process, we talked about compelling and usable information. Well, what's useful? So what is useful? How can you tell? Well, when you deliver content to the web interface, this is a topic. So it's not a web page. We know what the ID is for this. And if you aren't familiar with SDL LiveContent, we do not use paths relative path for our references to topics and to cross-references and concepts and such, we use GUIDs. We do provide you with the ability to organize your content into virtual folders, but we don't use the virtual folder path. We use GUIDs, global unique IDs, and therefore this introduction topic has a GUID. I can analyze this topic to figure out how many times people are looking at it, whether or not they searched on it, where they came from before they got to this topic. So I can use that to help manage how useful my content that I'm publishing is. And I can do that through the analytics. We have some out-of-the-box analytics for commenting to see who's commenting most. I can do that through media. This is tied into our SDL Media Manager, which is a video media manager, and it can provide analytics on the videos that you're using, which is great in DITA because I can tie steps in an ordered list. Let's say I have steps, or not an ordered list, sorry, it's steps in a task to specific chapters in a video, in a single video. So I can make one video, then in Media Manager, I can go in and tie the step to a GUID. Well, there's a GUID on the step, and there's also an ID for the video chapter. And I can say, click on this step, it'll go right to that point in the video. I can also then, I can have voiceover. I can translate and have voiceover that's in different languages. I can also do subtitles, and I can translate the subtitles. So when I click on step 3, it goes to that step in the video, and I can have a subtitle on it for whatever language the user is using to view it at that time. So all those things can be measured by this tie-in to SDL Media Manager. But to talk a little bit more about the useful content, also with things like searching. What are the top search queries? What searches are it has clear paper jams. I can do things on search efficiency. Well, search efficiency means things like, like I'm failed. Well, what's failing? And I can filter down to specific publications. And what does a failed search mean? Well, a failed search means that if they're searching for media card and so they search for media cards and they're not clicking on anything in the search results, that's a failed search. So that can help me with my terminology. Are we using the wrong terminology in our content? People aren't finding what they need to find. Again, useful to the end user. And then it could be also things like most viewed topics. Or even more importantly, topics never viewed. I think I've heard in talking about content with customers and new prospects, that we'll talk about retiring content. Everybody talks about it, hardly anybody ever does it because they don't have anything to back it up. If I have some content that nobody is ever going in and looking at, I now have statistics on that. I have analytics on that I can go back and say, you know what, it's time that we can retire this. Why are we spending time putting it in our content if nobody's ever going to use it? So we have useful, relevant content. So this is all about, again, the fact that we're writing in DITA, in topic-based authoring. We can use those GUIDs to our advantage to find out how people are navigating the site, what content they're looking at, what they're searching for, what they're using, and then make smart decisions about the content that we're providing to the end user. Many ways to slice and dice it, and very, very helpful. You can also do things, by the way, to create charts out of these, out of the content.
One question, what inserts the GUID in a video so that you can link to it from a task topic? Where is that done?
So in the when we link to Media Manager into the video, we're linking the GUID of the step to and I believe they call it a chapter in Media Manager, which is like an ID. I called it a GUID, in which it actually could be. I haven't seen the actual video, what it is, but it's a graphical interface with the video where you can link and say, okay, when you click, I have a video loaded. Let me see. I'm not sure if this video will work in here. Actually, you know what? I don't think it is, but I'll show you an example of it. This one? Yeah. I think what's going to happen here is I'm going to get, oh, no, I am going to get part. So this is this video, this one video is in Media Manager, and when I click on it, it goes through the entire process. But you can see here, I think it is, I'm try this click to view for the term printer off. So this one goes directly to the term printer off, which is a chapter. And you can see we also have subtitle. We have it in English, but we translated it into 5 other languages. So if I was looking at this in German, it would show that subtitle in German. Some of these we have not linked up. That one is. I don't remember which ones they were, but this one, unplug rear fastener. So what it's doing is the GUID on the step. This is a GUID. I click on it. It goes to a chapter, and you do this in the Media Manager interface. There is a way to tag in where the chapter is for this particular step. So when you click on this, it goes to Media Manager, which is feeding this video to us. It is a link to this video. So this video is not, it is actually on the web in Media Manager, and it's going to that specific chapter. So it's a process you do through the Media Manager interface, and it just links up this GUID to that, which is out on the web. It's on a server.
And June says, very cool. Media Manager is part of what?
So Media Manager is part of this Content Management Technologies division. It is another acquisition that SDL made maybe a year or 2 ago. It is called SPL Media Manager, and it is for video management. It also does the, I'm not going to use the right word, I know here, but basically the conversion of a video to the appropriate platform. So I only have one video. This one video is in Media Manager, and it will show correctly when I go to a iPhone or an Android phone or the web, or in this browser, or in Chrome or Safari or whatever browser I'm using. Media Manager automatically provides the correct visual for the video. It's the encoding, I think it's what it is. When you access that video from any platform. So you only have to put out one video, it automatically does all the encoding and provides it in multiple interfaces for you. And I really do like the fact that you could put subtitles in through that interface. We've got all of these already translated, all these steps, so I can add these to the video and put in the translations. I don't have to translate more than once. I'm reusing the content. I have to be reusing it as a subtitle in my Media Manager video. Okay. Any other questions about the environments that you've seen, or any questions about Architect? Again, we didn't really talk about LiveContent Architect. If for anybody who has heard of SDL before, this is the way it was previously called TriSoft, but kind of the assembly and the publication of content to multiple output types, putting everything together in topics, and then using a bridge from your authoring tool to check out from the repository.
What type of media is supported? Flash, AVI?
In what respect, I guess
I
I would ask you.
assume Media Manager, but I'm not sure.
So I think it supports anything.
Yes.
You just put it in, and it will do the encoding from that type. So when it goes to like Safari, it would do the encoding and automatically change it to not use Flash.
I think she meant like for the source. So can you upload pretty much anything
I think you can put anything.
and it'll,
You can put anything in to Media Manager, and it will do the encoding to all the other types that are necessary.
okay.
Like, you know, because you can't see Flash on an iPad.
Right.
So
And
it automatically can submit for you, do the encoding.
And is Architect pretty much the same as it was in SDL TriSoft 2011?
Yes. Yeah. There. Can't really think of anything that's different in here, because I think the commenting was added in that version because we had LiveContent as a separate product at that time, part of the solution, and there was this ability to have commenting here. Can't think of. I do have a what's new. I think we have a what's new PowerPoint that I can provide to you if you have further questions about what's new between 2011 and 2013. Like I said, one of the big changes in 2013 was finally adding oxygen to the authoring bridge.
Yeah,
all right.
Great.
Other questions?
I can unmute people if you want to try that. Here we go. If anybody has any questions, feel free. You're on the air. Oh.
Hi, this is Gary. So I haven't seen TriSoft or SDL since I don't know how long, a few years at least. So obviously it's come a long ways. You may not even recognize it as DITA, I guess, at least at this level, which I'm coming around to as being a good thing rather than a bad thing, although I still like the nuts and bolts. I was just curious, have you considered, or in any of your offerings, trying to hook up Microsoft Word as a way for subject matter experts to work with structured content? And what is your opinion of that approach, since some people have already gone down that road?
Yeah, we don't. We find that it requires a bit of an overlay, like Quark does onto Microsoft, and we find that really the majority of the customers that we have are using one of the XML editors. So we have a bridge to ArborText, FrameMaker, XML, and Oxygen. So we generally stick with those because there is quite a bit of effort to write the bridges. And then we figure for one of the big emphasis from the Innovate conference and the product roadmap is, one, this talking about the global experience management and how I really do see that marketing needs to prepare and promote good content from technical publications, from a knowledge base. All of that is part of the experience with their marketing content. So it all has to come together. And so that's where we focus on, is how we can deliver the right content and how we can deliver it in the example you saw with LiveContent reach external to a website as HTML and dynamic HTML. And so we see that, it's this, the other part of the focus from the product management team in LiveContent specifically is that they want to hide DITA. They want to make sure that anybody can use it with it, make it less complex. There's so many elements, and for the growing user base of these casual contributors and SMEs, hide the complexity of it, make it smarter. When I hit the return key and create, you know, when I'm editing a topic and, you know, in this interface in create, what should it do? What element should I get after hitting return? So that's kind of the focus that they're trying to bring into it, because it is getting, well, it's always been a little bit complex, but I also am a believer that it's only as complex as you make it. It really is, you know, I really do like the way that you can write in topics and reuse the topics, and the elements are, you know, I think they get, the specializations are necessary where appropriate, and they, you know, they're very useful. But do you want to train everybody on what DITA XML is? Or do you make the environment a little bit smarter for them, and then you have editorial maybe do a review, or the IA do a review of the content? Many different thoughts on how that all works, but I think that, you know, we stick with the XML editors that are most commonly used, because they do need to have the elements in it. They do need to be able to insert variables and conrefs and cross-references and all that kind of stuff. That, and then providing an environment where casual contributor doesn't need to know all that. They just need to put in some text.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
Well, I thought
In June, I will look for the what's new in 2013 summary.
Lorraine asks, is what you were showing on the left side available for all or just admins?
So these choices under Manage Publications, Application, all of it is role-based, permission-based. So ideally, or I think most commonly, yeah, it's only going to be an admin user. Or, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, an admin, but a manager or somebody that is considered that type of business admin that would have access to see analytics. Somebody else that only contributes content may only see publications. So this is it, potentially.
The analytics I am seeing available. Oh, okay.
These ones down at the bottom of Managed Publications and Application Developers Workbench, yeah, even these probably are not going to be a business admin. They're probably going to be much more technical, because you can skin this. It is web-based, so you can skin it however you want. It doesn't have to look like this necessarily. This is just our out of the box, but I think it has some good information on it. I like the comment stream, most recent topics, those types of things. But you can, as an organization, create a different skin and do a different, maybe a different summary report here, maybe a dial that shows that this publication has 72% that are topics that are released, you know, 10% are to be reviewed, and 18% that are draft. So you could have like a little dial, what is it, the fuel gauge. So, you could add that pretty easily, because that information is all available.
Is there a limit to the size of a comment?
You know, I'll have to check on that. My guess is that it's actually probably pretty high, because it has to be somewhat usable. We obviously haven't put in a lot of comments, lengthy comments. Commonly it's 256 characters, but I'll have to check on that.
And how has the analytic reporting capability changed? Is it customizable?
Yeah, so these particular analytics in Reach are different than what's previously in TriSoft or LiveContent Architect. These are specific to the reach, so mainly external. This is an out-of-the-box summary of what we feel might be most helpful, but because you can do so many different things with metadata on, and they have GUIDs and the ability to track a session, you can do a lot of different things with this, and you can add additional analytics that you want to measure that are more specific to you. These are a pretty good start, though, I think, especially for usefulness, measuring content usefulness.
And is that customizable by the user or SDL only?
Either. SDL Professional Services can do it, but we can also, as we like to do with pretty much all live content, help our customers be able to customize whatever they want on their own if they'd like to learn how to do it. Generally, it's really just through the APIs is how we're being able to provide the analytics. Okay.
I'm not seeing any other questions. Does anybody have anything else? It's pretty exciting stuff you're showing. It's changed.
I'm really liking.
I've seen.
I can tell you, I'm really liking the review and collaboration. I think it's going to be really, really helpful, and something that we were being asked about quite a bit, and because people wanted to try to get away from like a PDF review, and I think we have the interface now that really can bring all the collaboration together.
There was a question about can analytics be published to users via the web?
So you can export analytics. So if you have a report, you can make it into a bar chart, line chart, and so on. You can export to PDF, to PNG, or to Excel. So
no live method of publishing it at this point.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking about how we do it here. If I don't want to give somebody access to this because they have access to everything. So there are, yeah, I would say this is the way that you would share it is probably, yeah, although, again, since we use web services, it's possible that you could run a query, not use this analytics interface, design a completely different one that presents reports like in a dashboard automatically to somebody.
Yeah. No HTML export?
Yeah, it doesn't look like there is one in the out of the box.
But the API would let you do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, and June asked, how will you get the version diffs doc to us? You want people to contact you, or do you want to send it to me and I can post it to the website, or?
Yeah, I need to see. I saw one that was posted, so I need to see what's in it. It may be for customers only, so that would be the only limitation potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, it may be that I need to email it directly to June.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, unless anyone has any more questions, I really appreciate you, Scott, giving us this demo and talking to us about all the stuff you're doing. It looks like cool stuff.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, and you're getting lots of thanks. All right. Well,